I think the most important thing about hiring a videographer is that they, in addition to just doing really good work, are a really good team player alongside the photography team because they work so closely together on the big day. And like we were talking about last episode, we have a limited number of hours. We have to be ready to roll with the punches. There can be some high stress situations, things that come up, and having that teamwork, especially between those two, is so vital.
Live your life within the moment, and don't go wait until the morning.
Welcome to The Wedding Plan. My name is Tyler Spire, and me and my team produce bespoke events across the globe. This podcast is where I share key advice for planning your own wedding, as well as behind-the-scenes adventures and stories from the events we produce. Hey friends, welcome to The Wedding Plan. I am so excited that you are here with me today. This season, we are talking about the steps in planning a wedding. So if you are a couple that is currently in the journey of wedding planning, I hope you are finding this helpful. If you are a wedding professional that is listening along, I hope you're also finding this educational, whether you are a planner and kind of learning about how we educate our couples on these various things, or whether you're an industry vendor who's listening along to learn about the planning side of things. You are all welcome here. Please send any questions that you have, drop them in the comments or send it to me on social media. We love to address those and go from there. In follow-up to the last episode that we talked about photography, I did get one question that was sent to me on a DM, and I wanted to answer that. And that was, I had a person ask, I really love film, grainy, trendy photography, and I cannot find a wedding photographer that captures things in the way I want them to be captured. I think I want to hire someone who is not a wedding photographer to capture my big day, but you cautioned against that. Do you have thoughts? This is such a good question, and I get it a lot. And in DMing with this person, they sent me the photos they were looking at. So just to paint a picture for you guys, the photos were very fashion forward. This was a bride in a dress, really unique poses and very blurry and edgy, looked very Vogue and editorial. It was really fun, but very different than what you might see in a traditional wedding gallery. And I love those images. And so here's my response. In this particular instance, the style that you're drawn to of photography is really unique. And I think that's really fun. And I think you should get those moments. My recommendation would be to find a wedding photographer that does get some of those cool moments, to kind of dig a little bit deeper and find someone with the experience who's going to be able to get those moments for you and know how to capture the day. Or have a conversation with that photographer about how you want to make sure the rest of the day is captured, and then make sure you have a really clear photo list and maybe a member of the planning team. Maybe you pay a little extra to your planner to have a member of the planning team kind of help the photographer stay on task with family photos and other things. Again, I don't want anyone to be micromanaged or creativity to be curbed. But you want to make sure that when working with a photographer that's not used to weddings, that you're going to get the day fully captured. Another bit of advice we give to our couples is, if you really want some of those edgy, amazing photos, have a bridal session before or after the wedding. Go with your partner and with that photographer and get those dramatic, edgy shots. Do it in your wedding day attire. Get those, take all the time, make it its own fun shoot and get those. And then on your wedding day itself, maybe get someone who is a wedding professional and is more experienced with that. Some of you may be hearing this and being like, oh, but if nobody ever gives someone their first wedding, what do you do? And remember, I said in the last episode, it is amazing to take that leap of faith and give someone that leap of faith. I think you just need to go in with your eyes wide open, that it's a very finite amount of time. Weddings are very different than a production or styled shoot, just super different. The timing is different. The flexibility is different. And I would just hate for someone to hire someone who doesn't really specialize in the family photos and other things, and you just get some really cool, edgy photos from your day, but then you don't get a good photo of you and your loved ones or things like that, which decades from now will be things that really matter to you. So that's my answer to that. Love it. Send other questions my way and we'll keep it going. So today we're going to talk about video. Video is so fun. I love having a really great videographer at a wedding, and video captures what photo can't. It captures movement. It captures the audio. It captures that raw emotion. I know that for my and my wife's own wedding, our video is so important to us. Shortly after our wedding, my grandpa unexpectedly passed away super quickly of cancer. It was just like he was there and then he had passed away. It was really hard and really emotional. And he was a priest and he gave the sermon at our wedding. And I remember our wedding video wasn't even done being edited when he passed away, but we were able to reach out to the videographer and he had that entire clip. And it was just the sweetest, most loving sermon that he gave to us. And I still can go back and listen to it. I can also look back at our wedding video and see my youngest brother who hadn't even gone through puberty left, doing the belly roll on the dance floor. I mean, hilarious. We're able to go back and chuckle and see these things. And I think that's so important and so amazing. So if your budget permits, I highly, highly, highly recommend having a video at your wedding. I've heard some couples say, you know what, I just don't think I'd ever go watch my video. And I can agree to that in some point. I think that there's sort of this return on investment really quickly with the photos. It's really exciting to get your photos back. And obviously you need your photos. They stand the test of time, all the things. I have found, having been married for over a decade, that our video gets more and more special as the years go by. It's so fun to be able to play it for our kids. It's so fun to be able to go back and again hear my little brother's high-pitched voice, and now he's in the military, grown man doing all his things, right? But it's fun to go back and just hear that and remember that moment. It's amazing to be able to hear my grandpa's lovely sermon and just the love in his voice as he was speaking to us. And as time has gone on, that has become more and more and more special. So when you're hiring a videographer, if you haven't listened to the last episode where I talked about hiring a photographer, a lot of things are going to be the same. And so I'm not going to go and repeat myself all the way through. Listen to that episode, because basically having a videographer who has a good style, is professional and knows how to work on a timeline, and has a good personality, just like with a photographer, is incredibly important. Often your videographer is working right alongside the photographer and is with you for the same amount of time, is on the same production schedule, is capturing the shots and all the things. And so those things matter. What I want to talk about today is kind of the next steps with a videographer. And so just practically speaking, we usually hire the photographer first, usually, unless the couple comes to us from the beginning and is video is the most important thing for me, and then we might adjust our process. But usually you choose your photographer first. If your photographer offers video services and you like those services, we often recommend just moving forward with that. Your photo and video team are going to be working together. And it's so important that they work well together. If your photographer is about to capture the kiss and the videographer pops up in the middle of the aisle to get the video shot and it ruins the photo, that's an issue. If the videographer is in the middle of everything and the photographer's not able to capture everything, that's an issue. In the same sense, if the photographer is not able to work well with the videographer and let the videographer get their deliverable, it's an issue. So you can imagine this here. Having done this for 16 years, we've had wedding days where the photography and videography team did not gel well. Hopefully, the couple never senses that, but sometimes it's not a good fit and you can feel it and the couple can feel it, and that is a major issue. And then also on the deliverables side, if you're in each other's way and photo and video aren't working as a seamless team, the final deliverable is not going to be to the standard that you would like it to be. You can just imagine if you have your phone out and you're trying to capture a moment of your family and someone else is popping up in front of you or doing something else. It's annoying, right? You can't do your job if someone's getting in your way. And that is why the photo and video team need to be a seamless team. And so if your photographer already offers videography, often that's a great way to go. But most photographers don't offer videography. And so what we tell our couples is usually once you've found the photographer that you like to work with, we'll say, ask your photographer, who do you love to do video alongside with? because that photographer is not only going to be thinking about the style, they're going to be thinking, was that videographer professional? Did we work well together as a team? Was there good communication? Did we get kind of this great relationship going where they got what they needed and I got what I needed? It was positive and it worked well. And 9 out of 10 times, your photographer will be like, yes, this one's the best. Or yeah, here's a few that I just love working with. And that relationship is so important. If you decide to hire a videographer that your photographer has not worked with, I think it is so important for that photographer and that videographer to connect. So if you are a vendor and you're listening to this, you're a photographer, a videographer, even if that's not in your contract, that timing in your contract, I think a courtesy call between the photographer and videographer to just meet each other and chat a little bit about the day and get to know each other, I think is amazing. And couples, if you're hearing this, I think that if you're booking a photo and video team that have never worked together before, I think that's something you could kindly request. Be like, hey, could we add this to the scope of work of just having you meet with the videographer, even for a 15-minute call, just kind of get to know each other so that everything really goes smoothly on the big day. I do that as a planner all the time. So, as a couple, you could also ask your planner to do that if you have a full service planner. By making sure your photo and video team is a seamless team is so important. Next up with video, I think it's important to think about like what deliverables you want. To me, the most important deliverable is obviously sort of like the wedding feature film or whatever that looks like. And most videographers have samples of those on their website. Usually it's to some sort of music. There's some sort of montage of like spoken word and music and emotion and things, and it kind of paints the picture of the day. And I think when we think wedding video, that's what a lot of us think of. But two other things I like to think of as well is curated / raw footage of speeches, vows, sometimes the whole ceremony. I think the whole point of having your day captured with video is to really get some of that audio in there. And so I usually like to add into a videographer's package, if it's not already in there, are we getting just video content of speeches, dances, vows, some of those key moments that you can go back and watch / listen to. Like at our own wedding, my grandpa's sermon, right? Getting that captured from start to finish. It's not this like beautifully edited cinematic moment of all this emotion, but it's really capturing that. And I think that's a really fun thing to have. Some couples don't want that, but I think it's at least good to consider and know that most videographers, when you're just booking their video package, you're not getting that. It's often an add-on, and it's a different style of filming when you're trying to get something from start to finish versus when you're creating something that's going to be put into more of like a cinematic feature. And then lastly, I also like to consider, are you going to want like a social teaser? And what that is a really short video, often in vertical format, that you can share on your social media. In today's day and age, we love our social media, right? And often we want to be able to share with our friends and family that we just got married and that we just had this amazing day. And so I love when couples opt to have a social teaser. I don't think it's weird. I don't think it's selfish. I don't think it's like, oh, I'm just doing it to post. I think it's a way to share the joy of the day. And just like a lot of photographers will send some images shortly after the wedding that you can share, 10 to 12 images, or sometimes a little bit bigger of a gallery of teasers, right? That you can share with your loved ones. Having a little video teaser can be really fun as well. All in all, I think the most important thing about hiring a videographer is that they, in addition to just doing really good work, are a really good team player alongside the photography team, because they work so closely together on the big day. And like we were talking about last episode, we have a limited number of hours. We have to be ready to roll with the punches. There can be some high stress situations, things that come up, and having that teamwork, especially between those two, is so vital. Another kind of video that's trending right now and that's kind of fun is hiring a content creator for your big day. It's like a buzzword right now. I'm going to say it. I love a good content creator. And the key here is I love a good content creator. So a content creator is someone that you hire that is taking iPhone footage essentially of your wedding day, and they're giving it to you usually like in a Dropbox file or some sort of thing immediately after the wedding. It's you're a lot of shorter clips, and then often it includes some edited reels or videos you can use for TikTok or whatever that you can post for your big day. A content creator is not a videographer. They're very different. A videographer is doing, not just all that recording, but is also doing like really careful editing and things to give you a timeless video, essentially, that will stand the test of time. Content creator is getting you some of that raw social content that you can post quickly and share with your friends and family so that your own phone can stay away. With a content creator, I apply my same filter of, do you like their style? Are they professional? And do you like their personality? I think of a content creator as sort of another member of the photo and video team. And then just like hiring a videographer, I think that a content creator needs to be able to work really well with the photo and video team. The content creator should never be in front of the photographer's shot, just like the videographer shouldn't be in front of the photographer's shot. There has to be a symbiotic, healthy, good relationship there of everyone working together to get their content. Something we'll often do is if we have a content creator, we'll let the photo and video team kind of be like in the center aisle for the ceremony. And we'll tell the content creator, we'll have them seated in the front row or over to the side. So because the 3 people all trying to shoot all the things is just like in one aisle is like really hard to do. And then same with like toasts or speeches or dances or anything else. We usually tell our content creators ahead of time, hey, just like make sure that like if the photography team is like, centered on the dance floor, that you're to the right. So you're not across from them. So you're in the back of every shot. But make sure like you're to the side or things like that so that they can really get what they need to get and you can get that raw footage from the side. And so that teamwork is just so important. Those boundaries are so important because again, time is limited and everyone needs to get their content. And so we think content creators though ultimately are really fun. I think hiring a professional with experience is good. And I think having that conversation with the content creator about making sure the photo and video team get sort of priority in getting those shots and that you want them to the side, I think is really important. And then photo, video, and content creators. But if you're listening to this, making sure even just having those conversations ahead of time, if it's someone you haven't worked with before, just giving them the courtesy of a call or setting up a Zoom or something ahead of time to be like, I'm really excited to work with you. And I just want to like all get on the same page so that we can just like thrive on this day. And then lastly, sometimes, getting social content is even offered by your photographer or your videographer. And I think it's worth asking, or asking your photographer or videographer, hey, is there a content creator you like working with? Because they are seeing that behind the scenes. Is this frustrating? Is this going well? All the things. So, the key thing here is for photo and video, all of this imagery, you want a good professional team that can work well together under pressure, that isn't getting in each other's way. And that's just going to keep the vibes really peaceful, joyful, and flexible so that you can get all of the content you want from your big day without it causing stress. If you have any questions or comments, leave them for me on social media. You can comment on this, and I'd love to answer those for you. And I'd be curious, if you're listening along and if you decide to get a videographer and a content creator and a photographer, what that journey's like for you. I love hearing all the things. So send them my way. Thank you so much for listening along. And next week, we're going to talk about another category of vendor, and that is music, which is so fun and contributes so much to the big day. Talking about bands, DJs, musicians, all the things in next episode. So stay tuned and have a great rest of your day.
Live your life within the moment, and don't go wait until the morning. You never know when it is over. All that I know is we'll get older. So let us dance this night away.